5 years ago, this was a free YouTube video made by a teenager in his bedroom. No studio, no budget, just yellow wallpaper, flickering lights, and a sound that never stops. This year, that same nightmare made over $300 million and became the biggest film A24 has ever released. The man who built it was 19. The thing he built was never supposed to leave the internet. On May 12, 2019, an anonymous user on 4chan's paranormal board posted a simple request: share disquieting images that just feel off. Among the submissions was a single, slightly tilted photograph of an empty office-like room. It featured sickly yellow wallpaper, harsh fluorescent ceiling panels, and carpet that looked damp. The poster added a brief warning: if you are not careful and you no-clip out of reality in the wrong areas, you will end up in the back rooms. That single word, no-clip, a video game term for slipping through solid walls, redefined the space, turning a vacant room into an inescapable trap. For 5 years, the photo's true origin remained a mystery. Then, in May 2024, internet sleuths traced the image back to a defunct blog from 2002. The photo was a progress shot of a water-damaged former furniture store in Oshkosh, Wisconsin, being renovated into a Hobbytown, USA hobby shop. The damp carpet was from a real water leak. The sickly tint was the result of brand new commercial yellow paint under cheap fluorescent lights. But exposing the reality of the room did nothing to break its spell. Knowing it was once a real storage space in Wisconsin only made the nightmare feel closer, transforming a mundane retail renovation into the foundation of a modern digital mythology. Almost immediately, comment threads began transforming the flat yellow image into a physical, rule-bound territory. Users did not just look at the room, they occupied it. They established level 0 as the starting point of an infinite, randomized labyrinth, mapping out deeper levels, hostile entities, and specific exit conditions. By 2020, this collaborative architecture found a permanent home. The dedicated Backrooms wiki grew past 1,000 pages within its first year, formalizing a standardized geography for a place that did not exist. Writers who had never met built a detailed shared map of an invisible world. This was not a passive audience consuming a horror story. The collective fandom functioned as a single distributed co-author, drafting the blueprint for a physical maze none of them had ever actually seen. While online communities mapped thousands of theoretical coordinates, early video adaptations struggled to capture the dread of the original image, usually stalling after a few minutes of empty yellow hallways. That changed on January 7, 2022. A 16-year-old animator named Kane Parsons, working under the moniker Cain Pixels, uploaded a 9-minute short film titled The Backrooms Found Footage. Parsons did not merely recreate a concept, he presented physical evidence. Using Blender, a free open-source software, he constructed a virtual environment and buried it beneath the low-resolution grime of consumer technology. The resulting footage looked like a recovered analog tape, complete with the jitter of a handheld camcorder, sudden flashlight beams dancing across yellow wallpaper, and a heavy, unresolved hum vibrating in the background. What could have been a one-off experiment quickly evolved into an ongoing, serialized investigation. The film succeeded by drawing from a distinct aesthetic lineage. Parsons built his visual language on the sterile corporate isolation of Portal, the paranoid framing of Mr. Robot, and the psychological claustrophobia of works like Punishment Park, 1 Hour Photo, and Paranoia Agent. But the decisive stylistic choice was his patience. He held his shots, letting the camera linger on empty corners several seconds longer than comfortable, forcing the viewer to search the digital noise for movement. Within months, the debut upload neared 10 million views. Comment sections filled with viewers describing the video as a literal transcription of their worst nightmares, while professionals working in film production circles began sharing the link. A teenager in his bedroom had solved a cinematic puzzle that had stumped major studios. He made a digital void feel entirely real. In February 2023, Hollywood trade outlets reported an almost unthinkable development deal. A24, Chernin Entertainment, Atomic Monster, and 21 Laps Entertainment partnered to co-finance a feature film adaptation of the viral YouTube series. At the center of this alliance was Kane Parsons, signed to direct the project at just 17 years old. Horror veterans James Wan and Sean Levy signed on as producers, with Roberto Patino initially attached to write the screenplay. A24 and Chernin co-financed the venture, risking under $10 million on a director whose entire portfolio existed on a free video platform. The announcement fractured the online fandom. Optimists pointed to Lights Out as proof that internet shorts could expand into features, while skeptics feared a corporate disaster akin to Slender Man that would polish away the raw, analog grit. Scaling the project, however, required solving a spatial riddle, translating an infinite digital void into physical sets a film crew could actually inhabit. On July 7th, 2025, cameras began rolling in Vancouver under the working title Effigy. To ground the digital nightmare, production designer Danny Vermette constructed a massive 30,000 square foot labyrinth of yellow corridors on a soundstage. It was a physical solution to an abstract horror problem. The identical yellow corridors created real disorientation for cast and crew, requiring marked routes so people could find their way back out. Director Kane Parsons deliberately used this physical scale so performers could lose their bearings on purpose. While the screenplay path ended with Will Sudik receiving sole writing credit, the casting shifted. May 2025 reports suggested Chiwetel Ejiofor and Christine Milioti were being eyed, but Renate Reinsve took the role of Mary, joined by Mark Duplass, Finn Bennett, Lukita Maxwell, and Avon Jogaya. The premise followed Clark, a furniture store owner, and Mary, his therapist, discovering a doorway into an endless liminal space beneath the store. The cast encountered the dread fresh, arriving with no background in Backrooms fandom. Parsons, the only person on set who had pre-built this world frame by frame, scaled his solo Blender workflow into a studio pipeline for previs and visual effects. Duplass later reacted publicly to the absolute assurance of the young director commanding the professional set. Principal photography wrapped on August 14th. Months of near silence followed the wrap, with no public footage escaping the edit room. Then, in March 2026, one day before April Fool's, A24 dropped the first trailer. The teaser mixed grainy, handheld camcorder grit with polished, high-contrast cinematography. It revealed almost no plot. Instead, it triggered a physical response, a tightness in the chest, an instinctual urge to look away from a yellow hallway doing absolutely nothing. The feeling had survived the jump, silencing the skeptics. Following a premiere at the Aero Theater on May 7th, the film opened in South Korea and Italy on May 27th before hitting US theaters 2 days later. Tracking predicted $20 million. Instead, the movie took $38 million on opening day and $81.5 million for the weekend. Rotten Tomatoes hit 88% against a B- cinema score, with the Los Angeles Times calling it a slow, dreamlike experience closer to wandering through a painting than watching a conventional plot. By its second weekend, the worldwide total passed $213 million, overtaking Marty Supreme as A24's highest-grossing title. At just 20 years old, Parsons was the youngest director ever to open at number 1. Tell us in the comments which internet-born nightmare should get the Hollywood treatment next. The Backrooms got out. What began as an anonymous digital glitch is now redefining modern horror, proving that the internet builds the nightmares we actually want. Hollywood didn't create this fear, they just inherited it. Which internet-born story should we cover next? Let us know below.